Hey guys, Razorblade Mango here, and I wanted to bring back an old series. I don't know if I'm going to keep continuing doing these, but just because I saw two movies in 1 week, I decided to, actually felt like talking about them, because no one else I know has seen them. So today I want to talk about two movies. I saw one of them on Tuesday at the time of recording this. It's a Friday, and I just finished watching the other one. And the first one I'm going to talk about is A Star is Born, and then I want to talk about Apostle, which is the latest film from Gareth Evans of the Raid fame. So let's talk about A Star is Born first. So this is the first popcorn mango in a very, very long time. I don't even know what episode this is. I probably should have looked it up before starting this, but fuck it, whatever. Let's do this shit. So first of all, I want to talk about A Star is Born, which is the directorial debut for Bradley Cooper, who is in my opinion, very good actor. And I think this is like the third or fourth remake of this movie, and I've never actually seen the other ones, which, considering what I've heard about them, I really don't have a lot of desire to watch them. But I wanted to watch this one just because it was the directorial debut of Bradley Cooper, and I thought the trailer looked good as well. And I like Lady Gaga. Like, I was a pretty big Lady Gaga fan in high school. Like, a lot of people did not know that about me back in the day. And it was only like recently that I brought it up to people, and they were like, "What? You like Lady Gaga?" I was like, well, yeah. Have you heard Bad Romance? That's a kick-ass song. So yeah, I was very intrigued to see Lady Gaga's, like, big screen performance debut. I know she's been in American Horror Story, but I don't know if she's been in like any other movies aside from like a cameo. But this is like her first big starring role with like her name on the poster. Lady Gaga is one of the big stars of this movie, and it is very good in my opinion. This is a very good movie in a year that's been frankly terrible in terms of movies, where it's just I've been hit with like one disappointment after another, one crappy movie after another. This is finally a movie that I am more than confident in saying that I really liked it. And the reason for me liking this movie boils down to the performances of Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. And even like the other performances in the movie are very good, but these two, Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper, they make this movie what it is. Like the reason you're hearing like how good it is because these two together, like, their individual performances are great. Bradley Cooper especially, I think, gives like the best performance I've seen all year, hands down. Like, I think he's fantastic in this. Lady Gaga is fantastic as well. She's great. The individual performances are excellent. But this movie would not work if you did not have the chemistry between these two. Like, it really boils down to that. Like, you can talk about a lot of you can talk about subtext, you can talk about social issues and all that shit with A Star is Born, but for this movie to work, you really need actors that shine together, that make you believe that they are actually falling in love with one another, and they sell that shit 110% in this, to the point where I actually, like, if you had told me outside of the movie, like, oh yeah, these two are fucking in real life, I'd be like, oh yeah, that makes absolute sense, because you really get that feeling that these two are falling in love with one another throughout the the first half of the film, and watching them interact with one another, and just seeing I talk about this a lot with video games, where what really sells the relationship between two characters to me in a video game is their eyes. Like, if you don't get the eyes right, like, you can get the voice performances right, but you really need to get the eyes and the face right. You know, compare and contrast. What's the two? I think it's like Ethan Mars and Madison from Heavy Rain. Like, those two falling in love, it makes absolutely no sense. And when they finally like start fucking, they just have dead, soulless eyes. Versus, you know, my go-to example, which is Nathan Drake and Elena Fisher from Uncharted. Just seeing the love between these two in their eyes really, you know, makes you believe in it as a player. And in this movie, the moment there's my favorite moment of this movie. Everyone's talking about, you know, the song, like the original songs and all that, and they are good. They're good songs, but the moment that really took my breath away in this was Lady Gaga. The reason Bradley Cooper's character meets her is because he's just looking for a bar. Like he's a big alcoholic. And he's like, fuck it, I'm going to whatever bar I can find. And he goes to a drag club. And Lady Gaga is the only one that isn't a drag queen that is performing there. And she does this absolutely, like, mind-blowing cover of La Vie en Rose. And when I was watching it, like, it worked for me for two reasons. Like, two ways it worked for me. One of them was just the performance itself from Lady Gaga. Like, I know she's a fucking phenomenal singer, but my God, like the way she just killed that song is just it made like the hair on the back of my neck stand up almost. Like it legit gave me goosebumps just hearing her belt that song out. But another reason it worked is because when Bradley Cooper is watching her, you can just see it in the way he just looks at her in those like blue eyes, how much like of a growing respect and interest he has in her. And it's not like in a creepy way. It's like in a genuinely like warm-hearted way where he is just like holy, like he's the avatar for the audience, where he's just like all these other people inside the club, the bartender and the drag queens and all that, they know how well she can sing. But Bradley Cooper is the avatar for the audience going into this scene where we are just like, holy fuck, like she really has talent. And like, you know, he goes backstage and he talks to her and he takes her out for a really interesting night. And these two they connect. And it's not this quick, like, oh, I immediately love you. It is this, you know, very elongated courtship between these two where they spend like a night together, not sexually but romantically, where you really get that sense that these two are falling in love. And just the performances, like I said, just outstanding. Even besides the two performances, I think Sam Elliott, he's always really good. He's not in it very much, but he is really good in the scenes that he's in. Andrew Dice Clay is Lady Gaga's dad, and he's really good. I forget the actor that plays the manager, but Lady Gaga's manager, like really like a sleazeball. He's good. Performances are all good. I can't really think of a bad performance in this, even from the smaller characters in this. As far as directing goes, I don't think it's really anything special. Like it doesn't, you know, I've been rewatching some of like Alfred Hitchcock stuff, and you know you're watching an Alfred Hitchcock movie. Just the camera work and the pacing of it all, like you really get a sense that like Alfred Hitchcock is having his own, you know, stamp on this style that he's doing. And Bradley Cooper doesn't have that, and the material doesn't really require it. It'd be nice, but you know, it's competent directing on Bradley Cooper's part. It is. Like, he's not doing anything special with the cinematography or the camera or anything like that. Same with the writing. Sometimes, like, you know, I've always wanted, one of my videos I've always wanted to do, I've always wanted to talk about how profanity can be misused in a media form. Like in video games it can be misused, and in movies it can be misused it can be really distracting, and they say fuck a lot in this movie, and sometimes it becomes like it becomes a little much, where a character will just say fuck 3 times in one sentence, and it's like, okay, dude, I get it. You like saying fuck. I don't need to hear it. It becomes, it stops having any power to it. Like when BoJack Horseman reserves that one fuck, they only use one fuck in their entire seasons. Every season they're allowed one fuck, and it's at the right moment, and it stings when a character says fuck. Like it's used like, what the fuck is wrong with you, or I'm gonna fucking kill you, or you get the fuck out. It's they use it, and it just stops having any kind of power in A Star Is Born when they just say fuck 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 fuck. So profanity, not the greatest in the writing. I don't know how much of this was ad-libbed, or all of it was fully scripted. I'm gonna assume most of it was scripted. Maybe some of it was ad-libbed, but the writing just, it's not great. There's no like memorable lines of dialogue, besides, for the right reasons that I can really think of off the top of my head that really stay with me. But like I said, it is another thing I like about this movie a lot, is that when you have tragedy in something, when you get to a dark period in a movie, like if it's a movie that is long and it's meant to convey this sense of decline in like a relationship or in a person's life or something, you always gotta be able to enjoy that moment when they were happy. You, along with the characters, have to enjoy that moment, and you really do. You feel the joy and the love that Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga feel for one another and the lives, and then it becomes all the more heartbreaking when the decline starts to set in, and you feel the heartbreak and the depression along with the characters, where you long for the beginning of the movie when it was happy, and that's that they get that right. It's a similar thing with like the Martin Scorsese movies, where these characters, they start out the movie, they live the good life, they're all the top of the fucking world, and it's fun, it's enjoyable, it's funny. But then the second half of the movie, when it all just comes crashing down, and it just makes it all the more sad, where you long for the good old days along with the characters. And that's great, because what a movie should do is draw you in along with these people. So I think A Star Is Born is really good. It is definitely one of the best movies I've seen all year, and I think you guys, like, because some of my friends were making fun of me that I'd go watch this. They're like, really? You're not gonna go watch Venom? You're not gonna go watch The Predator? You're gonna go watch A Star Is Born? Are you fucking kidding me? Well, yeah, because fuck The Predator, fuck Venom. I'd rather go watch this. I'd rather go watch something good, something that has a more than decent chance that I'm actually gonna like. So yeah, Star Is Born is very good. Unlike the other movie that I want to talk about, which is Apostle from Gareth Evans and Netflix. I don't know what it is about these Netflix movies that just come out, and they're from these like really good filmmakers. Like you get, like Jeremy Saulnier. I hope to God I'm pronouncing that correctly. Who did Green Room, one of my favorite movies from 2016, and then he comes out with Hold the Dark, which is not good. Same with there's another one. Damn, I know I'll remember, but later on. But Netflix is really weird. Netflix is, and on one hand, I respect Netflix for taking, a chance on all these movies that there's no fucking way that they would enjoy success in the theater. Like, if you put a Apostle in the theater, this thing would bomb. People would not go see this. But you give, Netflix buys it out, you give it to Netflix, they give you like carte blanche, do whatever you want. you get your passion project out there, and there you go. People can see it. And I just don't know if it's a trend with these movies, but most of them have not been very good. Like, there's been a couple that I've liked. Gerald's Game from Mike Flanagan, which was pretty good. That was a good Netflix movie. Bright. Everyone took a dump on Bright, and yet I thought it was pretty good. It's a lot better than fucking Suicide Squad as far as like David Ayer's filmography. But like all the other stuff, like Duncan Jones, he made that fucking god awful Mute movie, which was terrible. Jeremy Saulnier did Hold the Dark, which wasn't very good. And now Gareth Evans, who I think is a very talented filmmaker, especially after The Raid 2, and The Raid 2 is like such an amazing movie, and then he does this, and it's just all these Netflix movies that they all fall under like a similar umbrella of problems, you know, some more than others, but they all follow this pattern where they lack focus. They start out with this like central goal at the center, like, right, Hold the Dark, it's going to be exploring a mystery. Mute, it's going to be about, you know, finding out what happened to my girlfriend. This movie, finding out what happened to my sister. I need to go to this island to find my sister when these cultists are holding her ransom. But then it just gets bogged down with all this other crap that we don't need to see. And one of the big problems with this movie is that it breaks one of the cardinal rules of these like infiltration detective movies, is that we break away from the perspective of Dan Stevens' character. Whereas I think in order to get a better effect with like this sense of like there's something really wrong with this place, is that I think we should have I think this movie should have been cut down to like an hour and a half, and we stick with the perspective of his point of view. But no, we go to all these other side stories that I don't care about. We go to perspectives of the quote villains. We go to this useless subplot of this young couple on the island that want to be together, and it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of resources when it needs focus. It needs some coherence at the center of it, and it just doesn't have that because it just gets bogged down in all this other shit. And truth be told, I don't hate Apostle. I think it from a visual standpoint, I think it's very good. I think the score is quite good. The sound design is terrifying at some points. There are some moments, like the way the violence is shot is you know, effective, because you know it's hard to fuck up someone getting stabbed in the face over and over again with spears, or a guy getting a drill shoved in his brain. It's that stuff is effective. It's just there's no real energy behind it. It's just the violence is well shot to where it's a visual clarity. You're able to see what's going on, and yes, it's brutal. Yes, it's fucked up. Yes, it's gory, but there's no power behind it. Like one of my favorite examples of how this is done right with really shocking, grisly violence is Green Room, which I mentioned previously. And Green Room is such a good movie because its violence is hard. Like it hits you across the face like a sledgehammer, and it is brutal. Like the shit they do in that movie, it makes you wince, it makes you cringe. But it juxtaposed with that violence is this biting sense of dark humor to it. Like Green Room can be blackly amusing at points because you're with these characters because you actually give a shit about what's going on, and that's what makes it more impactful, because you care. You feel like you're in the sweat of the whole thing. And you don't think about, oh wow, this violence, you know, is really well shot. Oh wow. You think, holy fuck, that was brutal. And And it doesn't really linger on it either. It's shocking, but it gets in there, it delivers its punch, and it gets out. And Apostle's violence is just very, like, lingering. It's like, it's very, like, I don't normally like saying this, but it is very torture porny. It focuses so much on misery and blood and death and torture that it just, it stops, like, it loses focus. It loses focus on this being an infiltration horror movie, like a descent into this. And whenever it breaks perspective, it doesn't really do it for any reason other than to show more death and misery and violence and blood. It's just, like, there really is no point to the subplot with the young couple that want to escape the island and be together romantically, other than to have more death and blood and misery. It's just, there's no point to this. And they lay their cards on the table very early on, like, what this island is about. So there's no real mystery behind it. It's like, got it, like, I understand somewhat, like, what's going on, like, I get it, I get that the basics of what this is. So there's no real mystery. And then by the time they get back to the sister, it's like, okay, I'd completely forgotten about her. She's like, okay, it's just, so yeah, I just did not like it. Like, I thought I was on board during, like, the first parts of it. I'm like, okay, it's you know, Gareth Evans' trademark, you know, violence and brutality and all that, and you know, I can kind of see where this is going, maybe, but then it just veers off course and it just starts doing all this other stuff that I just grew tired of. And that's just it. Like, it just made me feel tired. Like, it just made me feel dead inside. It made me feel like an old man, if I'm being perfectly honest, because I'm getting tired of these movies, like Hold the Dark, very recently, that I saw. Like, Apostle and Hold the Dark both have that same problem of, like, the violence isn't juxtaposed with anything, you know, remarkably interesting, or like there's any subtext or humor, or I'm not asking for, like, Marvel goofiness or anything like that, but I'm asking for something that, you know, makes me chuckle out of being uncomfortable, because that's how you deal with uncomfortable things. You laugh. It's a stress reliever. But I didn't laugh or anything like that, or and if that makes me a horrible person, then, you know, so be it. But, like, there has to be some kind of build up, action, release. It's like basic shit with film grammar with these kind of movies. You gotta have something to relieve the audience every so often, like something, not to undercut it, but to emphasize it, to you know, give the audience this sense of, you know, disgust or thrill, or just make them feel something. Make me feel something, because I didn't feel a goddamn thing when this was all over. I just looked at the screen and it said, oh, written and directed by Gareth Evans, and I was like, oh, that's it? That's it? Fuck. So yeah, that's Apostle. I mean, yeah, it's a misstep. It's a misstep from Gareth Evans after the Raid 2, which the Raid 2 I love, and this one I don't really like it very much. So that was disappointing. That just kind of ruined my morning, because I was really looking forward to this, and it just, fuck. This year sucks. This year's been fucking terrible with movies. I just want 2018 to end, for God's sakes. Alright, so that's that. Thank you all for watching. I know some people out there have been wanting a popcorn mango for a while now, and here you go. Here's a popcorn mango. Alright, have a good one, everyone. Take care.